1. Hold on, it's broken. Hold on. There we go, it's fixed. And they can hear us. So, yeah. Except...
Oh, hey. Welcome to the Week 8 Waiver Wire show, guys. It looks like I'm frozen, though.
Yeah,
I'll... Creepy eyes. Oh, there we go. I started moving.
Let me do my...
froze again.
Let me do my producer magic.
Okay. Hey, guys. Welcome to the Week 9 Waiver Wire show.
There we go.
I am Waleed Ismail. With me, as always, is my partner in crime, my partner in life, Josh Chowoff.
Hey, guys. Don't tell Wendy.
She knows.
Oh, yeah.
She knows. She's told you multiple times.
Yeah, it's cool. It's because I let you do all the stuff that she won't, you know?
Oh. You guys can interpret that as you will.
Yeah.
So, Waiver Wire this week kind of sucks, if I'm being honest. Because there's, nobody I want, but also my teams are fairly settled, I find, at this point in the season. Like, the guys that I'm going to hold, I don't care. I'm going to keep holding. Sometimes I'm going to be wrong on that. Sometimes I'm going to be very right, and I just have to hope I'm right. So that's going to make a difference. But, God, big news was Kirk Cousins with the Achilles tendon. And that just sucks because the Vikings were starting to roll. They were looking real good. And if you, heard the word out of that, locker room, they were all incredibly, incredibly sad, as they should be.
Yeah, they were Justin Jefferson healing away from having some real juice in the later stages of the season.
Yeah, what were they on, a 3-game winning streak? They beat the 49ers. Yeah. They just trounced the Packers. And and Kirk Cousins was playing the best he's played in his career. So I'm very sad to see that happen because, here's the thing. Kirk Cousins was also an anti-vaxxer, but at least he was honest about it.
And he seems less pushy. He seems less pushy about it.
Yeah. I did always find his, statement. What was it? The, God's going to do what he will. God allowed for vaccines to be created. I feel like you don't have to be that fatalistic.
Speaking as someone who has a physical disability, tad bit offensive, Kirk Cousins, but
yeah,
I think your record speaks for itself over in prime time. It's because all the handicapped people are watching.
That's funny. But he seems like a nice enough person. He's just dumb, like a lot of football guys are dumb, and a lot of people in general are dumb. So who cares?
So, Waleed,
but,
in case someone has Broncos, Lions, or Jaguars players, or 49 players, what do they do this week?
Oh, well, for the waiver wire, first thing is I wanted to talk about the cut list, and obviously number one on that list, Kirk Cousins, gotta go.
Yeah.
You can't. He's done. I'll throw him in an IR slot if I have it, just in case my team goes to a championship. I want him on the roster for that. I like doing that with players that are on IR if I'm not using the IR slot. It's I drafted you. If you were doing well for me when I had you, you get to stay on the team unless I actually need that spot. It's dumb, but it's fun. So Kirk Cousins is definitely a guy in the cut list, but a guy that if you need someone right now, I want to talk about a man who is rostered in only 36% of leagues, and that man should command your attention. Yeah, Sam Howell of the Washington Commanders.
Oh.
Here's the thing. He was the QB1 week 8. This last week, he was a QB1. He had 397 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He's also the QB8 on the season. He's the top 8 quarterback. Yeah. This is where we invoke the Blake Bortles rule. If those of you guys who might not remember, Blake Bortles rule is you don't have to be good at football to be good at fantasy football.
And I just want to point out, Jahan Dotson had a game, so that also means Sam Howell had a game. You know what I'm saying?
Not necessarily. He could have only thrown to Dotson, but we're gonna get to Dotson later. Don't you worry about that. But yeah, you don't have, Blake Bortles was a QB1 2 years in a row based purely on garbage time padding stats. Sam Howell feels like the same kind of thing because his team seem to get from behind, and when they get from behind, they throw the ball a lot. One of Tony's top 5 bets of the week was for Sam Howell to have more than 34 passing attempts in a game, and because he hits that easily when they lose, he had over 40 passing attempts. I know it, then I stopped paying attention because the bet hit and I didn't care. I just made my money. Um, yeah, if you need a quarterback, like you're not going to get anything better than Sam Howell right now. But if you want to go for upside and you don't need someone immediately for bye weeks, I want to talk to you about a man named Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is going to be activated onto the active roster fairly soon. Ooh, what is that happening on my screen?
Oh, that's. Don't worry about it.
Okay. You don't look at the man behind the curtain.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
Kyler Murray is going to be activated on Arizona's roster, and you will want him on your team when he is. He's I mean, Kyler Murray is a franchise quarterback.
Josh Dobbs.
And
It's been. I would love to say it's been a pleasure, but
oh, he had a good week this week actually.
Yeah.
I think he was a top 10 quarterback this week. I think he was like QB 4 or 5, which was insane to me. But let's be honest, he hasn't done a lot beyond that. But he's got the weapons there with Marquise Brown, Michael Wilson, Trey McBride with a really baller week at tight end this week.
Ertz, don't it?
I mean, yeah, well, Ertz is on IR, so.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, just vacuuming up all those targets that Ertz,
Doesn't do anything with.
Yeah.
Like, I've had so many bets because Zach Ertz's target share at tight end has been, like, significant, and then he doesn't get any freaking catches.
Nope.
Like, and like, I bet his over twice, and then I was just like, the second time that he missed on that, I was like, never again.
All
I don't
unders.
seem to get
All
it right.
unders from here on out.
It's one of the things, like, with receiving lines sometimes when I bet them. It's what kept me from being perfect this week on Gambletown was when you bet on a receiver on a terribly coached team with a bad quarterback, it hurts. And I'm talking, of course, about DJ Moore. But my point is basically with Kyler Murray, all of a sudden guys like Michael Wilson and Marquise Brown look significantly better for you, and that offense is probably humming because the offensive concepts are great. It's just the execution is lacking a lot of the time.
Yeah, vacate that first overall pick, and then just leave it to Carolina.
They're going to. Once he's back, they're going to go. It's not like I'm not even that worried about it. But guys, you can cut. We already talked about Kirk Cousins. A few guys that were on the list here. I can't believe Jordan Love is still 67% rostered. I know he had a strong first couple of games, but since then he's been awful. Like, he's just been legitimately bad. He will lose you weeks. If Jordan Love is on your roster, for the love of God, get him off of your team.
I honestly think that's a streaming artifact, though, Waleed. Because last week there were 6 teams on bye, so I feel like Jordan Love got picked up.
If I'm being honest, I picked him up in the one league I needed a quarterback to stream.
And then people just were like,
That wouldn't surprise me. It doesn't matter. Get him off your team. Get Sam Howell on that team, who I should have picked up. Another guy you can cut right now, Geno Smith, man. He had 254 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 turnovers on Sunday.
The stagecoach is turning into a pumpkin over there.
Yeah, he said his 5th straight game with under 16.5 fantasy points, and his 6th such in 2023. 5 of his remaining 8 games all come against teams that are like bad matchups. They're bottom 10 in fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks. So Geno Smith is, if you have him, you can get rid of him. He's not. All he's going to do is like cost you like points. Last guy, Matt Stafford. This is one that's you know what? I don't know if I 100% agree with this, but I get the logic. I don't know, if I don't have a better option, I'm not getting rid of Matt Stafford, but I understand why. Because Matt Stafford only had multiple touchdowns in one game this year, but that doesn't mean that offense hasn't been good. Like, the last couple of weeks, they've struggled, but they've also been going up against really, really strong opponents. But the thing that does have me concerned, too, is he's got an injured thumb in his throwing hand, and we don't know how bad it is. They said it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but, like, I mean, if it's bad enough, you gotta just fade that.
And as soon as we get information on that, it doesn't necessarily affect Cooper Kupp because I feel like he's like immune to that stuff, but it does affect the outliers like Puka Nacua and Tutu out. Well,
the last 2 weeks, Puka Nacua has been the better receiver, not Cooper Kupp. I don't know that that's a simple blank statement that you can make.
Well, but Cooper Kupp has a larger sample size of being a dude.
Yeah, but his sample size of being a dude has always been with Matt Stafford. Without Matt Stafford, he's much less of a dude. Like, which is just that's how it works.
Could be true.
Quarterbacks.
Yeah,
it could be. It is true. How dare you doubt me? So let's go on to running backs here. I hate running backs this year.
0 RB in standard. Let's go.
I will admit, and that's okay. I think Jeff is bringing up a good point when he talks about his cut list. Like Dameon Pierce, I actually disagree. I don't think that Dameon Pierce stinks. I think that offensive line does, but him being in a timeshare with Devin Singletary and how bad of a run team the Texans actually are, make him like when Dameon Pierce was carrying the load, he was solid value.
There's a reason why they were passing as much as they were, and it wasn't because they wanted to.
No, their offensive line is still beat up to all hell. He's now played fewer than 50% of snaps in more than half of his games this year. And he is down to 25 carries for 80 yards in his last 2 games. Like, Dameon Pierce is probably, like, cuttable.
Yeah.
He's someone you can definitely get rid of. If you can trade him away to someone who needs a running back, I'll be honest. A week ago, if you tried that, I might have bought him at a discount or added him in a trade. Now I'm not as interested. But I'm a little bit quicker on the uptake than some of your league mates are going to be. So this is your chance to actually get some value. Tyler Algier. I think I'm kind of turning around on this. I can't cut him anywhere.
No.
Because the way 0 RB is, like, my options aren't going to be better. It's only going to make me worse at running back.
Right.
But, like, here's the thing. Like Jeff points out, like, he's like, at this point, I don't really understand Algier's roster rate. On the surface, Arthur Smith's weird bluster and refusal to use his good players would make it seem as though the backup running back to Bijan Robinson would be getting enough production to matter. He's getting the usage, but his production has been a nightmare. In weeks where Bijan doesn't have weird headache problems, Algier has 6 straight games with 6 or fewer PPR points, including 8 carries for 31 yards last week.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I get it, but at the same time, like, I don't know that you can straight up cut Algier.
What if he's trying to big brain it, Waleed, where he's like, none of my skill players are going to be good?
It's kind of what he's been doing. But I will say this. Desmond Ridder finally benched, which means like Taylor Heineke being in there means that Drake London and Kyle Pitts suddenly become infinitely more exciting because Heineke gives no shit. He will throw it downfield and he will let his big ass receivers make plays on the ball, and they did.
As a London owner, that excites me.
London started doing some things until he got a groin injury. Hopefully it's not that bad, and he's back next week because I need London to get his 1,000 yards.
How's Tyler Lockett doing? Because like the last couple weeks haven't been too bad for total.
He had 75 yards. I haven't updated my spreadsheet. I was out sick at work yesterday, so I didn't really get a chance to see where my guys are on the bets. I don't update that every week if I don't have to. And last week was kind of brutal, but I think that my guys are still kind of on track for what they need to be. But, like, Mike Evans has dropped off a little bit, but he was so far ahead of the curve.
Tyler Lockett is the one that's still lagging, if I remember.
He would be, and I don't think he's lagging as badly as he was. So that's a good thing. But if we're looking at running backs to pick up, I'm going to throw out Pierre Strong again. From last week, this list is a lot similar to last week's list, unfortunately. There aren't good running back options because there weren't any significant injuries to running backs. Jerome Ford, like, he was supposed to miss multiple weeks. He started last week, but he was clearly on a snap count, and Pierre Strong did get looks. He had 11 touches for 81 yards, which is fine for a waiver wire running back. Yeah. But I don't know if that's going to stay consistent or be, like, good. Like I said in the article, I don't know if Strong is worth grabbing off the waiver wire. I just know there isn't anything better.
Right.
And it's like, if you need running back help, it's like 8 points is still like, and I don't know, and I think that number could go down. 8 points is better than 0 points.
Yeah.
Is where it comes down to, and that's what that running back position looks like for some of us.
I just want to take a time to pat myself on the back for picking up Darrell Henderson instead of Evans, because who looks like the smart guy now?
I mean, and that's the thing. That's the next guy on my list here: Darrell Henderson and Royce Freeman. Henderson's only 48% rostered. Freeman 16% rostered. I'm not sure which running back you want. Darrell Henderson led the backfield in carries last week with 15.
Just because he vultured a touchdown.
Not even that. Like, Royce Freeman was more efficient running the ball. So that's the thing. But, like, I don't know if they're going to put Henderson back on the practice squad again. Like, that's what, like, scares me. That's what happened.
Yeah.
You went and grabbed Henderson, then they deactivated him, and you're like, wait, what's going on here? Is he going to play? Is he not? Then they brought him back up. I don't know what McVay's doing, and I don't like that, like, those question marks when it comes to my running back. I think if a gun to my head, I'm taking Darrell Henderson because he's getting more of the touches, and usage matters to me more. Because the more you touch the ball, the more likely you are to fall into the end.
He's McVay's guy. Like, that's what led me to make the choice. Like,
he is.
Yeah.
And Zach Evans, you realize Zach Evans was a better high school recruits at running back than Bijan Robinson.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Zach Evans, super talented, but he's just one of those guys who, like, he's got that red flag. And those are guys I always fade where I'm like, man, you're this talented and you're not producing and your coaches don't want to play you. Something is wrong.
No, anytime I hear, like, that pedigree, like, that early, I'm like, okay, so you're good against children. And then the moment you play against adults, then it's like...
But he was good in college when he played.
Yeah.
So it's not that. It's just that he's just one of those guys who, like, just can't be a professional. You can't treat it like a job. And those guys scare me because they flame out. No matter, like... I'm not a guy who falls in love with traits too much. I like my traits, but at the same time, I like guys who just... I get, like, the Bears scouting process was they just want guys who love football. I get it, because how hard you work matters more in the NFL than everyone's an athletic freak in the NFL, to a greater or lesser extent. Being smart and, like, working hard will carry you a lot farther. I'm looking at this cut list for wide receivers right now, and I got to be honest, Jeff, this one hurts me because this is a guy I loved coming into this year. This is a bet I'm not going to hit because I had Christian Watson's receiving over on the year, and he finished this week with 8 targets, 3 catches, and 33 yards. Christian Watson, it goes back to Jordan Love being terrible. That Packers team looks awful, which as a Bears fan, I'm here for. You guys had it good for so long. Looking at Packers fans, listening to Packers fans talking like Bears, Vikings, Lions fans have for the last 15 years are the sweetest tears I can drink. I've enjoyed it so much. Like, the justifications that you have to go through, I'm like, yeah, we understand what you're doing. We do this to ourselves all the time. Like, they're not self-aware enough to know that's what they're doing, though. This is the 3rd time in 4 games that he has failed to top 33 yards, and it marks the 2nd straight game without topping 6.1 PPR points. The Packers are bad, and the passing game is a big reason why. And Christian Watson might, like, I don't know if I'm cutting him, but if there's someone better, I am cutting him. Like, someone cut Gabe Davis in one of my leagues.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Yeah, he's like the wide receiver 22, and I don't know if it was because he was a Thursday night player who was on their bench and they needed to start someone. I do know that I am grabbing him.
That is I said this last week, Waleed, and I will say it again. In these larger like bye week situations, you probably won't see it in this Denver San Francisco Detroit bye week because no one has Denver players and all those other players are good, but in these like 6-team bye weeks or these 4-team bye weeks coming up, check your waiver wires. Even if your waiver wire does not have anybody good right now, people might make mistakes.
Yeah, that's the thing, too. As soon as waivers clear, check the waiver wire. Check to see what someone else did. Because people do dumb things.
Even in terms of defensive or quarterback streaming, right, Wally? Like you just said for your work league, that someone dropped Dallas for some reason, you know?
I mean, people are kind of like getting upset because Dallas had a couple of normal weeks, and I'm like, you're not going to get like an explosive week every week. I think people have unrealistic expectations a lot of the time.
Well, it's because Dallas scored them like 2 skill positions worth of points for like 2 weeks out of the season, but then they forgot like that defense is like a losing some game. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm happy if my defense gives me 8. You know, I'm overjoyed when they get me 16 or 32 or, you know.
Oh, God, this looks awful. You know what? I think I will cut Deontay Johnson for Gabe Davis. I couldn't make the move yesterday because I had a guy in the IR slot who was not technically.
Oh, I was so nervous when they said yesterday that Amon-Ra St. Brown was sick.
Because
here's the thing, Josh Reynolds was on my waiver wire, but I was not gonna make that drop. I was just gonna take the L because I was like 7 points behind. Like,
yeah, no, well, I mean, you didn't have someone on your bench you could cut to grab him?
No, because it was a Monday game.
Yeah, that was there's nothing you can do about that. You just like hope he plays. If he doesn't,
yeah, I just take the L.
A long game.
I just take the L.
Well, you won by like
yeah.
Oh, yeah, Gibbs made this a really good week for me. I was almost perfect on Gamble.com, but fucking DJ Moore. Like, the Bears' insistence to keep throwing
that's on
in
you.
The second half. That's on me?
Yeah, that's on you.
That matchup was so fucking good. The Chargers, every time I bet against the Chargers secondary this year, I've made money. That's the first time they haven't hit.
No.
Like, they're the worst secondary in football.
But as a Bears fan, you should understand.
I should know better. I told Tony, like, if I have any top 5 bets or any bets that are on Chicago Bears players, please remind me of this.
Oh, I'm putting an air horn in. I'm putting an air horn in. What are you talking about?
Because if I'm reminded, hey, you do this all the time. Do you want to do this again? So I can at least be like, yeah, you're right, and backtrack. It's more funny when I'm wrong again.
Yeah, I'll get the spray bottle.
Yeah, I need that.
I'm just gonna put together a super cut of every time you're super high on the Bears coming into Gambletown, and then you're like, "Son of a bitch!"
Yeah, that's funny. Another one that you can cut on the cut list. I can't believe Elijah Moore, 63% rostered. I do have him on a bench in one league, but Elijah Moore's main appeal was getting a ton of target volume from Deshaun Watson, and it doesn't seem like the promised volume, but and it's with PJ Walker in there, he's not going to get that volume, and he's not like he's got 10 catches for 108 yards over his last 3 games. He's getting volume near the sticks, but he's not doing anything that helps you for football. Elijah Moore's a guy who's doing well for regular football, but for fantasy football, not so much.
It turns out when you sit out a couple seasons of football, and you get injured, Waleed.
Yeah, it turns out that
your default is, I could just sit out again.
Yeah, I mean, he's got his money, and he's whatever. I'm happy with him injured. I don't want him on my football team.
Yeah.
But for wide receivers on the waiver wire, this week kind of sucks. Like, if you got like a guy who was cut, like I said, always check your waiver wire after like Wednesday when they clear to see who's been cut. But like for now, the guys you want to be looking at, I'm only looking at the young guys, the second year to first year guys. who have been slow so far but are starting to do some things. I want
Dotson is available in both my leagues, for example.
Dotson, we'll talk about him, but there's one guy I like a little bit more this week, and that's Quentin Johnson on the Chargers. Josh Palmer re-aggravated his knee injury. He was out in the first quarter, and by no coincidence, Quentin Johnson had his highest usage rate of the season. He had 6 catches for 50 yards. He's a first-round talent, and if Palmer isn't there, I think that you see him game planned a little bit more next week. He's got an elite quarterback. He's a first rounder. He's got a clear path to opportunities. He's got everything you're looking for in a guy who can break out second half of the season. I don't know how bad Palmer's injury is, but they kind of rushed him back, which is Brandon Staley's lucky the Bears are the Bears, because if he had lost this week, he would have been fired. And he's held on to his job for a little bit longer, but for now, Quentin Johnson's probably the only guy in the waiver wire this week that I truly like. Having said that, a guy I kind of like, but I don't truly love him, is Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson did have a week. 8 catches, 108 yards, 1 touchdown. In his last 2 weeks, he's had 18 targets.
And, and what else do you got?
I mean, that's the thing. There aren't a lot of options, but Dotson's been kind of meh. But like Sam Howell is a top 10 quarterback. He's throwing the ball more than just about anyone in football. They're playing from behind a lot, and like while he has been cuttable because he hasn't been doing anything, at least he's starting to see more usage. They drafted him in the first round last year. He looked good as a rookie. He's like his college tape was great. I like Jahan Dotson as a player. The only thing that like makes it harder for me to fully commit to him is that he plays for Washington. That's why he's behind Quentin Johnson.
What was it? I saw a clip on TikTok, Waleed, of people talking about how good individually like the Washington Commanders skill position players are. Like with Scary Terry, Jahan Dotson, and Brian Johnson. But they're like, they just don't collectively play good football together. Like,
no, part of it is a lot of it is Sam Howell. He holds the ball too long. He's a rookie, but like he's still like he can sling it. He's got ability, and hopefully he figures some things out. It's like he's like the most sacked quarterback in football. That's what it is, and you can't. It's very hard to play from behind the sticks. Like throw it away. Don't give yourself like worse downs and distances. That's the hardest lesson to learn as a quarterback.
I mean, Waleed, what was it? My defense was playing against the Commanders this year, and just because not even on points allowed, but because of the amount of sacks that they accrued, like I still got like 12 points, even with 24 points scored against.
When I wrote my waiver wire article last week, Washington was giving up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing defenses. So that checks out. And a lot of it is sacks. It's also turnovers. Like they're just like they make a lot of mistakes that you can't make as an offense if you want to be successful. It's so easy to just be a league average offense if you just don't get penalties, don't give up sacks, and don't commit turnovers.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm looking at you.
That was I had to start Jimmy Garoppolo in a Superflex league.
Ugh.
It did not go well.
Ugh.
Yeah. So those are the only guys I would burn waivers on at wide receiver, but there are some guys that when waivers clear that people aren't going to be looking at that I think you should be paying attention to. Mainly Michael Wilson and Jonathan Mingo. Michael Wilson, I think when Kyler Murray comes back, you can because if your waiver wires don't reset, if you don't use them and you keep going up in order, you don't want to burn a waiver wire. If they reset every week, which some leagues do, first off, tell your commissioner he's dumb and bad, and to fix that, like I don't think bad teams should be rewarded for not being able to win on the waiver wire. I think that you should I think the waiver wire is at its best with strategy. Personally, I'm a fab guy. I like being able to have the auction, so everyone's got a chance at a player. And you can go hard early and have no money later, or you can be patient and save that money for when you might need it more.
Sure.
Free agent auction bidding is the only way to do fantasy football.
Well, I would
it's
say
hard to
Fab.
convince people.
I would say Fab rewards people that actually draft well. Like, you know.
No, I think Fab rewards people who pay attention and are active in their leagues, and that's what you want. You want everyone active in your leagues. And the fact is, it's a hard sell on like a lot of casual leagues, which is why, at least for the waiver wire, it should not like your waiver shouldn't reset every week to what your record was that week. It's just bad process.
Yeah.
Because it punishes good teams basically, and I don't think people who work hard and are successful in your league should be punished because the rest of your league is full of ass.
Yeah, I will say, like, since I've been winning in both of my leagues, I don't even put in waiver wire claims. I just look to see who clears because I'm the 12th spot.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well.
So we got Michael Wilson. He had 4 catches, 58 yards. When Kyler Murray comes back, he could be a monster during your fantasy playoffs. I like Michael Wilson a lot, so I'm all about getting him if you have the roster spot for it. Another guy, Jonathan Mingo of the Carolina Panthers, had his first pretty good game of the season. I think he was like 4 catches for 69 yards.
Yeah.
And he's a guy drafted in the second round. Another guy, bunch of athletic
good
traits.
Rookie stash, yeah.
Yeah. If you're looking for someone who might break out, those are guys to keep an eye on. I don't even know if I'm like, because if Mingo has another big game, he's going to be the guy everyone's looking for in the waiver wire next week. I'd rather get ahead of it if I have the spot, just for a late deep stash. That one I feel less comfortable with because Bryce Young has looked a lot better the last couple of weeks. Came off the bye, had a good game against the Texans. But at the same time, I don't know that I'm going to be able to count on him. I think Bryce Young is still going to constantly force it to Adam Thielen, and that's fine. And I think that Mingo's ceiling could be limited, but at the same time, I like having young guys who can break out on my bench.
All right, Waleed, got a question for you. I have both Zach Charbonnet and Tajay Spears sitting on my bench in the Comics League, full PPR. If I needed to get rid of one of them to pick up like one of the wide receivers that you're talking about, like maybe a Mingo or a Johnston, which one would you cut? Because my thought process with picking up Tajay Spears,
I don't think I would cut either of them.
Okay,
honestly. Okay. But first off, I want to see like if Derrick Henry gets traded, though, you can't cut.
He's not. He's not. They've already said like the Titans have come out and said that he's not getting dealt.
Okay, let's see though. I would still wait until after the trade deadline to make any choices like that.
Sure. Which is just tomorrow.
But also like, I mean. Honestly, I'd still rather hold those guys if I don't desperately need wide receiver help. It's a lot easier to stream wide receivers. And if something happens to Kenneth Walker or something happens to Derrick Henry, those guys become infinitely more valuable. I'd rather stash those guys on my bench in case I might need them down the road. But gun to my head, ooh. No, they're basically about even for me. I probably would. I lean keeping Zach Charbonnet, even though he's been the worst.
Tajay Spears was a pickup because I thought Derrick Henry was going to get traded, and then that literally makes him the clear one. Yeah.
But,
and then Zach Charbonnet also I think outsnapped Walker this week.
Did he?
Yeah.
I need to see that. That doesn't check out, but I didn't look that closely.
Maybe it was a combination of his passes or targets and touches.
Snap counts. Oh no, 59% of he had a 59% snap share compared to Kenneth Walker's 41%. That's real interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely keeping Charbonnet. That's interesting too because Kenneth Walker still had himself a game. I think he was my number one running back of the week. No, it wasn't Kenneth Walker. It was Etienne who was my number.
Etienne.
Yeah, no, they went almost like split backfield here. Interesting. That could have just been like the matchup against Cleveland too, but that's definitely something that's worth like noting. So I guess we're just down to tight ends now. And the tight ends...
Taysom Hill bullshit for a second week, Waleed. Oh my gosh.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That's my tight end. That's the tight
Oh
end I want to talk
man,
about.
so good.
We're finally at the Taysom Hill bullshit part of the season. Taysom Hill is a tight end 10 on the season. He is a tight end 1 technically. He started off the year kind of slow. Over the last 4 weeks, he has been a tight end number 5, and in week 8, he was a tight end number 1. Week 8, he had 44 passing yards, 63 rushing yards, and 14 receiving yards.
Oh
He
my.
does everything. Oh, also 2 touchdowns. Let's not forget those.
Oh
He's-
my god.
He's going to be inconsistent. I've thrown Taysom Hill in waiver wires, and the nice thing is about him is like you might get a goose egg from him, but you'll get that from any tight end.
Right.
Like, when he hits harder than any running back. Like he's basically a running back in your tight end slot. Like
Yeah.
when he gets those opportunities. So yeah,
Well,
why not?
Well, because like I feel like his coaching staff, buys into Taysom Hill bullshit. The more successful he is in that game, like.
Well, here's the thing. Like, the thing is, like, people get mad about Taysom Hill, and what you should be mad about is his designation should be a running back. It should not be a tight end.
Sure.
And that argument I'm 100% behind. But since he is a tight end, he's fine. Like, if you look at him from a football standpoint, like, it's infuriating, but it always seems to work.
Right,
like, and how
right.
do you get mad at someone
Because
always...
you can tell that it works, Waleed, because
Yeah.
this is the second coach to do it with him.
But he was on the coaching staff with
Sure. But like, you know, because I thought to myself, oh, Sean Payton is going to Denver. We're gonna see Taysom Hill bullshit, like, but in Denver with somebody. No, it turns out that it's just because it's Taysom Hill.
I mean,
you know.
he does awesome things. I don't mind seeing him on my football screen. He just drives me nuts for fantasy football. But I will say this: that was Tony's DFS tight end of the week. He nailed the Taysom Hill bullshit week, and I wish I had done that. Like I didn't do wrong with Ferguson. Ferguson, I think, was a top 5 tight end on the week. It just he wasn't Taysom Hill.
I just want to pat myself on the back because I defeated a CD Lamb team this week in my comic league, and I was real nervous. But
Are you still getting those dumb offers?
Oh no, those are done because I basically outed him like in the group chat, and I'm like, these are
good,
awful. Like
that's exactly what you do. Public shaming. I love doing that when it comes to bad trade offers.
Like, and the thing about it is like the funny thing, like I sent you in the chat, Waleed, I sent you a screenshot of my team. Look how stacked my bench is. I wanna. It's in the what do you call it? If you go over to the Discord chat that we're in, Waleed.
Yeah. Oh, I'm doing it.
If you hover over, like the text chat of.
How do I look at the text chat?
That's what I'm telling you. Top right corner.
There's that's right. I always forget how to do that.
Yeah, top right corner.
All right, let's see that screenshot here. Oh, I was looking at the one. I was like, Jordan Love, what the hell's wrong with your team? Then I looked over. Burrow finally waking up is nice,
oh right? Boy, yeah.
That was making me real nervous in one of my leagues.
Yeah.
League. I got because my super flex it was Josh Allen, which by the way, if you guys should really listen to what I say. I told you everyone was all about Patrick Mahomes' QB1. I'm like, Patrick Mahomes' QB1 finish last year was an outlier. Before that, he really finishes in the QB4, QB5 range, which isn't bad. But Josh Allen, the last 3 years before this year, was QB2, QB1, QB1. Mm-hmm. This year, QB1. Yeah. It's almost like the rushing guy has an easier path at yards. Like that's why he was my number 1. Jalen Hurts was my number 2. Then it went to Josh Allen. Joe Burrow finally waking up is nice though. Jonathan Taylor's got to be looking real good for you.
Yeah, and then look at Zach Moss. I'm starting to think Zach Moss can be flex worthy. Like both.
Zach Moss is. He's getting looks. Your team is loaded. Yeah, no, you don't need to get rid of anyone. Like I wouldn't be grabbing any of those wide receivers anyway because you have Drake, you have Tank Dell, Drake London, Tyler Lockett, and Gabe Davis, and
Look at
Josh Downs.
My
and
bench.
Josh Downs.
My bench almost outscored my starting lineup, and I still won.
He had Justin Fields. That's why he's starting Jordan Love now. That's not.
Yeah.
Fine. I can accept that.
Yeah.
Like this is one where like I'm trying to like do a couple of packages to see where I can really upgrade guys.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm like I can't play as many of the good players as I have, and it's actually like confusing as a fantasy manager, Waleed.
Because when your team is too good.
Because I'm like, who's gonna hit? Like, you know.
Yeah. So Jeff didn't have a second. Didn't have any tight ends that needed to be cut, which just speaks to the efficacy of tight ends this last week. But what I will say is, if you need a second tight end, you want to look at to pick up Trey McBride with Zach Ertz on IR and the tight end spot getting a lot of targets. Trey McBride, like he was a talent when he was drafted. I mean, he's a second-year guy. He was one of my favorite tight ends. He might have been my favorite tight end last year when he came out into 2021.
Will this season be responsible for changing the script, like on young tight ends, Waleed?
100%. I've changed my mind. Because before the season I said I need to see it before I'm willing to do it. And like I saw it with Kyle Pitts, who was a generational talent at the position.
Kind of similar to how we all switched from not trusting young wide receivers and then Do you think that has anything to do with how the NFL is playing more like a college ball sort of? I
think a lot of what I think both. I think the NFL is pulling a lot more from the college ranks from an offensive standpoint.
Right.
So yeah, I do think that makes a difference.
So that they could just plug and play into the systems. Yeah.
Yep. And but like talking about Trey McBride, he what did he have here? I want to look at that game log. He had 14 targets, 10 catches, 95 yards, and a touchdown this last week against Cleveland.
Damn.
Which Cleveland doesn't give up fantasy points at tight ends. So that says something there. If you need tight end help and you don't want to deal with Taysom Hill bullshit, I think Trey McBride is the play. I like it when second-year guys.
Who's Arizona playing this week?
That's an excellent question. They are playing. Oh, maybe they played Baltimore, who gave up the 27th fewest points to it. They're playing Cleveland this week. Like the next 2 weeks. Like the thing is, the next 2 weeks for Arizona are terrible. And so people are going to think that they're just going to go back to being one of the worst teams in football. But like I figure like they're not bringing Kyler Murray back until after Cleveland.
Yeah,
and then they activate him, and then his schedule softens up so much.
Right.
That's when you want your Michael Wilson, and you want your and then you want those Arizona players who might like just go off.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I need Arizona because I have an active bet that Arizona will have 5 wins.
I know you probably don't have your defensive streaming article ready at all, but I do need some help. I'm gonna drop Kansas City's defense.
Really? Why?
Well, because they're on bye next week. So if I could get a defense that if I could,
I hate dropping defenses on bye if I don't have to. Like a defense that is as good as they are, and Kansas City has been the 7th best defense in fantasy.
Sure, but also like what do you call it? I don't.
No. You can stream defenses. Don't get me wrong. Honestly, my article. If you've been paying attention,
well, this week,
I've been fired.
The reason why this I did this is because they're playing Miami this week.
Oh, the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah. They're playing Miami this week, and then they go on bye. So that's 2 weeks. I feel like that's stream worthy. You know what I'm saying?
I 100% agree with that. So I'm looking at some of these matchups here.
If you could get me a stream that lasted that last 2 weeks, that's great. But if not, I can just stream week to week.
So the first thing that pops up in my mind is the Atlanta Falcons are going to be playing the Minnesota Vikings without Kirk Cousins. And I want to say that and let me hold this up here. Doing some quick research on the fly here. But I want to say that like the Vikings were already giving up top 10 fantasy points to opposing defense with Kirk Cousins.
Got it. Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Let's see though. Do we have Atlanta on this?
It'll be sad to see Kansas City go, but like at the same time, it's like
You'll be fine.
Miami's like a buzzsaw. I feel like.
Oh yeah, no, they were giving up the 11th most fantasy points to opposing defenses, which is fine. If New England is available, which they might not be, they're playing Washington, which is a really good matchup. Giants against the Raiders.
Giants is available. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't want to. But the Giants, like, there's better options. Like
right.
That matchup. The matchup is good.
The Raiders are available if Jones doesn't play.
Yeah, but you don't want the Raiders. Oh, if Daniel Jones was cleared, you didn't hear that?
Oh, he's cleared. Was he cleared as soon as that guy went to the hospital?
No. He was cleared before the game. The doctors didn't tell them till after the game. Is what the report was out there.
What the hell?
Yeah. So I think some trainers are getting fired because if I'm Brian Dable, I'm furious. You're telling me that I had to throw out DeVito as my quarterback, whose stat line was like
negative pass yards because he spent it passing to Saquon.
It was where was it? I posted it. Tony, two passes for two for 7 for -1 passing.
Oh my god!
Here's the funny part too. His passer rating was still better than any Tyson. If you took all of Tyson Bagent's throws over 15 yards, it was still better. That passing rating on that stat line.
I knew when we were in trouble when he underthrew DJ Moore in the end zone, like in his first game.
I'll tell
and
you.
And then in the press conference, he's like, "I just don't have that arm. I gotta be honest with myself. I've never heard a professional athlete say that." Like,
who? Bagent?
Yeah, in his first press conference,
he said he had a cannon.
No, in his first press conference, he's like, I underthrew that. I gotta be more honest with myself. Like,
I'm looking at the Rams. I find them interesting against the Packers because that Packers offense looks like it's a mess.
Not without
the Rams could be
not without Matthew Stafford though.
The Chargers against the Jets, I think, might also be a really solid. The problem is you'd have to be betting on like a Brandon Staley defense, and that seems terrifying to me. You don't want the Rams though because they're going to be on bye. Or no, maybe it was the Chargers.
No, the Chargers. No. Is it the Chargers?
I think it was. It is. No, the Rams will be on bye. Chargers would be playing. Let's see, Jets, and then they'd have Detroit. So you wouldn't want them if you're looking for. Are the Colts available? The Colts are playing the Carolina Panthers next week. They get the New England Patriots the week after that.
Oh man, that's the twofer. That's the twofer that I was asking for.
If you're looking for a twofer, it's the Colts because the Colts are definitely going to make my list with the Carolina Panthers. The Colts defense has its issues, but the Carolina Panthers offense is pretty they won, but they only scored 12 points. So it's kind of like, did they win? Their offense, at the very least, it's going to be a solid floor. So I think the Colts is probably what you're looking for this week. And I think on that note, guys, that is the Waiver Wire reports with Josh and Waleed.
Yeah, guys.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Stick in there. This is the hard fought battles of the fantasy football season.
Waiver Wire is a grind, but if you're active, you can sneak in wins, and all you got to do is make the playoffs. Because once you hit the playoffs, it's just luck.
Just buy one week at a time at this point. Buy one win, at a time, and hopefully you get in the playoffs. All right, guys. Thank
you, and good night.
Yeah.